All right, y'all, so now it's time to sand. It's received 4 coats. This has actually dried for quite some time. I hadn't had a chance to get back to it. So I'm actually going to use this 3M. It's a sanding sponge. I really like these like gold yellow ones that they have. They don't make as much of a mess like when I'm sanding stuff. And the only thing I can't remember is if it's a 320 or a 380 grit. But I'm just going to use it anyway. And whenever you're sanding, you do want, like a sanding block or sandpaper wrapped around something firm so that you can get like a level sand. And you just want to do it lightly and go all around just to help get you a smoother surface with your next coats. And I decided I'm going to try something also, but I will have to, sorry if the camera shakes a lot. I'll try to avoid that. I decided once I do like a couple more coats, maybe 2 or 3 more coats, and start to get this more smooth, I want to mix some pigments with the crystalline blending solution that I have and create like a little bit of swirls, because I've never tried that, so I'd like to try something new. So I figured this is a perfect opportunity, and this is my own tumbler, so if it messes up a little, it's okay. Okay, and I'm probably going to just speed up this part of the video, but just showing you, what I'm using. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. If I need to do more sanding later, I will, but I think that'll be fine. This is Crystal surface conditioner. That's good for like cleaning off sanding and, just like oils, fingerprints, stuff like that even. So I'm just going to spray it down and get it nice and cleaned up before I do more coats. And I will let this sit though for about probably like 15-20 minutes before I do another or start top coats again. Clean it off really good. Get my rim cleaned up. Okay, so I'm going a little bit out of order. I'm going to show you the pigments and me mixing them to create a couple shades of purple. I'm using the red and blue and white and their ink blending solution. Now, since I'm kind of new to this technique, like doing the swirls and everything, I don't know if I really should have gone a little bit thinner with my like pigment mixture and the ink blending solution. Like if I should have added more ink blending solution to make to make it a little bit thinner. Um, and you'll see why and what I mean like later in the video, like when I'm trying to drip it onto my tumbler. So I'm going to just put a little bit of pigment. You don't want to really do a lot because you're really not going to need a lot for this whole technique. So, you know, obviously you don't want to really waste too much product. So I just squeeze some in a cup, squeeze some solution, and then just stir it up really well with a popsicle stick. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and drop in some red and some blue to create my first shade of purple. Now, when you do order these pigments, and I think actually when you order pretty much any of their products, they'll send you like these brochures, which I should have actually included in this video, so sorry I didn't, but it will have some like recipes on how many drops to use of each color that they have to create like different colors. So that's really nice. But because I, know that purple's pretty easy to make with blue and red, and then obviously being able to create different shades of it by adding white, that's all I did. And here's some extra light so that you can kind of see it better under some lighting. And, it was pretty easy to just come up with a light shade of purple. Okay, and so I like experimenting. So I decided I'm going to add some, just some mica powder in my mixture. I want to see if it makes a difference, if it adds like a nice shimmer. So sorry if I'm getting out of camera, but I'm just dumping in a little bit of mica powder at a time, stirring it really well. And honestly, so I didn't notice, I couldn't see like any shimmer like immediately showing. Like I think I would have to add a lot, which I do go ahead and continue adding some and adding like a darker shade of purple as well, and I still couldn't really tell. So I did go ahead and, just stop because I wasn't really noticing like a shimmer effect. However, I will show you towards the end of the video, like once my swirls are done and they're all, like completely like sealed up and everything. I did notice that it would have been like where this lighter shade of purple was dropped on my tumbler. It kind of created like a separated look. So it kind of like split up some of those like drops, which to me was actually pretty cool. So I'm assuming it was that because I didn't really notice that with the darker purple and the white that I dripped on my tumbler. So I think the mica powder kind of created it, or like made it like tend to want to like separate somehow, which gave a really nice effect as well. So as you can see, I'm not really noticing like any type of drastic shimmer from adding mica powder, and I just kind of kept trying to dump some in, but wasn't really noticing anything. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and make a darker shade of purple. Now, something I will go ahead and point out ahead of time, in case I forget to mention it later. This dark shade of purple it did dry kind of darker than what it looked like while it was wet and like after I had first made it. So that's something you may want to keep in mind is your colors may actually darken a little bit. If you're needing like a dark color, you may want to make sure it's somewhat lighter, or go even more lighter if you think it's, maybe going to dry a little bit darker, if that makes sense. But it's still tied in really well, because my UV DTF that I applied on my tumbler, it had, really vibrant dark colors, some black in it. So it kind of like tied in really well anyway. So as you can see, I'm just using red, blue, and white still. And I just kind of keep estimating like what I think it would need to, kind of create more of a purple look. Um, so I didn't really have I don't really have exact measurements, but you can kind of see like what I'm dropping in there um, to create this color. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and speed this up and um, get this kind of mixed up. Now I did go ahead and add some of the light purple mixture into this to see like what kind of color I would get there if it ever comes out. I was trying to be careful not to pour too much. um, and so I was really happy with this color. So um, I believe, yeah, I did leave it. Sorry, I couldn't remember if I added anything else. As I'm going back and editing and adding a voice record over this. Oh, I guess I did. So I added another blue drop. So yeah, like I said, you'll just have to kind of play with it, or you can see if you want to kind of refer to the like color recipe that you get in the brochures, but I'm kind of like a just wing it type of person. Okay, and last is our white. So obviously just some white and some ink blending solution, and then we will move on to our next step. So I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so here is where I was bad and didn't necessarily keep track. So after I did my sanding and cleaning it off with the surface conditioner, I waited and let it, dry from that for, like I said, I think I said like 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know if that's actually the time I waited. I might have waited longer, but then I went ahead and did either one or two coats. That's what I'm not for sure on. So this is either going to be my second coat and then dropping on the pigments, or it's my third coat because I can't remember if I did one or two before this step. So I'm just applying another coat. I am kind of, going heavy. Like I said, I'm a little bit heavy-handed, but I wanted to go kind of heavy for sure with this because grand finale, can kind of start to want to dry pretty quickly. And if your coat is too thin, well, then your drips might not move around as good. So I wanted to make sure that this coat was pretty heavy before starting to add the pigments. Now I should try something. I'm not really sure how it works or how well it works if you apply, like the pigments over a dry coat. So that might be something I'll do in the future just to test it out and see how it does. I would imagine it would be best like if your pigment mixture is on the thin side, like with your ink blending solution, making sure it's runny enough so that there can be enough movement. But I'm not really sure like how fast, that solution or whatever dries. Um, so I'm not sure how, quickly or how good it'll move around to swirl enough. So I could see why it would maybe be best to do it over a wet top coat versus something dry. But it's worth like maybe experimenting with and trying at some point. So anyway, just get yourself a nice uh, good coat on here, and then we will continue on and do our pigments. Okay, so first I'm going to start with the white. I tried it with this little silicone spoon thing. I don't think that that's going to be the best thing to use. I did end up switching to like the popsicle sticks, but as you can see, like when I'm even like shaking my spoon and trying to get some of this pigment to fall, um, it sometimes like it doesn't shake off, which I also noticed with the popsicle stick. Um, so and two, I was trying to avoid like having such heavy drops. As you can see, like they're pretty big, you know, drops. So then I tried to switch to the popsicle stick. But even then, like if you notice, I kind of struggle like getting some drops to actually fall down off of my stick. So I'm wondering if it's because I needed to add more of the ink blending solution and make it runnier, or if technically I could be like slightly touching the tumbler to add drops like while the grand finale coat is wet. Um, because for parts of this, I did end up starting to touch the tumbler and it did just fine. Like with my stick, you know, lightly touching that top coat. It still ended up leveling out really well. So I'm going to end up speeding through some of this, but I wanted you to see me dropping some of the different colors or, you know, like the different shades. But I really just kind of took my time with this mostly because, like I said, I was having some trouble getting the drops to actually come off of my stick sometimes. And I would like fling my stick like a lot, and it was like it wouldn't, you know, like it wouldn't really splash on there or drip on there. But um, so I just, you know, randomly just dropped wherever, you know, I felt like needed some of the pigments or whatever. And I just kept alternating. So, you know, I would do the white, the light purple, the dark purple, then I'd go back over with some white. Um, and until it just kind of got to a look that I was satisfied with. Now, I'm thinking next time I try this technique, I will try to maybe have my mixture thinner and possibly like going ahead and touching the tumbler lightly with my stick so that I don't have as big of drops, and to have some thinner swirls. So I'm going to have to really, you know, try these pigment swirls and stuff again some other time and see what what I can come up with as far as having some thinner swirls or whatever. But let me go ahead and fast forward through some of this, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out some of the video so you wouldn't sit there and be bored watching me do a bunch of drops until I got to like the desired look that I wanted. Um, but if you pay attention over some of the light purple pigments or whatever, you can see where it looks like it's separated, and you can see my glitter base, you know, shining through that. That's where I think the mica powder, you know, like made that happen. So I think that's actually kind of cool. Um, like it looks like it kind of separates the color somehow. So that's really cool. But something else that I learned is you can actually drop the ink blending solution directly over your pigments as well to give it some more movement. So that's another tip. All right, y'all. So I did one top coat after I did the pigment swirls, and I love how the swirls look, and I was thinking about doing some more white and like a light purple. But I'm afraid like it's already looking too busy, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna like it with my wrap, but I think it'll be okay, like, because they're, you know, the colors on here are pretty bold, so I think it'll still, you know, show up good enough. Let me see if I can. It's kind of like hard to really show the true colors like in this lighting. Let me bring this up. Or let me try to do this. So yeah, I'm not sure if I probably like did way too big of drops. You know, it was my first time, so I really didn't know what I was doing. But I think if I had like, you know, thinner ones, like it would maybe look a little better. And this doesn't actually go all the way around, but the handle is going to be over here. So to me, this part won't really matter anyway. But I think I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to make it way too busy, like more than it already is. So, and I think, you know, you'll still be able to see like the images enough, but at a distance I wasn't sure. But the swirls are really pretty anyway. What I'm going to do though is just to add, hold on, let me get this back on. Just to add a little bit of shimmer back, you know, like I know I have the glitter like showing through. Oh, let me put this back down. But just to have some sparkle over the swirls, I'm going to do the Glitter Heart Co. epoxy additive. I'm going to go with silver. I have like a white one, but it has sort of like greenish undertones. And the other one that I have, I don't really like the undertones on it for this anyway. So I think I'm just going to do some silver. And even though it's an epoxy additive, it works really good in, you know, the grand finale. So I use it on my acrylics sometimes, like when I'm doing top coats and I want to make some vinyl, like have some sparkle. And a little bit does go like a long way with this stuff. But since I'm doing a tumbler, I'm gonna obviously need more than what I normally do for like acrylics, and that's going the wrong way, so I gotta let that. So I am just going to, I don't know, maybe I should just do very little and then keep adding if I want to, like with my next coats. Hopefully that's not too much. So I just put a little bit in there. Okay, now let me see if this is going to turn the right way. Yeah. And then I just need to gonna have to pour quite a bit since I need to do a whole another coat. And so you just want to mix this up and try to get like any clumps out. Although while I'm rubbing this like top coat on with my finger, some of those are going to break up anyway if there's any in here. But it usually mixes up really good. I'm trying to let you see in the lighting. Yeah, so I'm just totally experimenting with this tumbler. Like, you know, it's for me anyway. So I'm not like, you know, worried if there's some imperfections or something. And if it ever really, really bothers me enough, I mean, I can always start over somehow if I want to. Except I'm probably not going to really want to because I'll be putting that UV DTF on it. And I've never like taken a UV DTF off of something, but you know, I hear like once you put it on something, it's kind of like good luck getting it off. So, so I think I'll be fine with it. Whatever happens, happens. And so once I let this this coat dry, I'll be able to tell like if I want to do more of this additive. And I'm going to actually dump some more Grande Finale on this tumbler. I just want to get this glitter sort of spread out. And just try to make sure you have an even coat. Really feel around, see if you can tell like parts that, you know, don't feel very wet. And like I said, I'm always pretty heavy-handed with my coats, like even with my acrylics. But that's what I love about Grande Finale is I really don't have issues with that. Still got some of this glitter. Yeah, this might actually be enough. I see some nice sparkle to the swirls already. And I didn't do it on camera, but I did remove the painter's tape that I had on these little things before. And if you can kind of tell, I cut around, I cut some of it off, like around where I know my handle is going to need to sit. And I may have to go back through and cut around some more just so that I don't have issues screwing my handle back on. But I'll get to that, like, obviously when it's time. I'll worry about it then. Okay. Oh, I gotta get the bottom. It really doesn't matter if there's like glitter on the bottom because I didn't do any swirls on the bottom anyway. Because this, I always drink from a straw with this one, so I'm never like lifting it up, like sipping out of it. So it really didn't matter to me to have swirls on the bottom. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry really good because I went pretty heavy with it, so it will definitely dry longer than 2 hours. And then we'll see if you can see. Yes, that's gorgeous. You can see the sparkle all over the swirls already. That's gonna look awesome. I love it. All right, guys. So I didn't record doing the top coats after adding that epoxy additive, but you're just going to do like you do any top coat. You apply it, wait the 2 hours to dry, or give it 3 hours or more if you go really heavy-handed with it. Again, you can see that separation within some of these swirls, and like I said, I think that really had to do with the mica powder, so I think that's pretty cool. But I want to say I did 3 coats after the epoxy additive, and this is how it looks. I wanted you to get a look before we start cleaning up. All right, y'all, now that this is completely sealed, as much as I want it to be or need it to be, it's nice and smooth. I brought it to the kitchen to add some hot water. You want to do this very carefully. So I just used like this measuring cup, and I filled it all the way up. It's up pretty close to, you know, the very rim here. I probably could have gone just a little bit more, but I didn't want it to soak into, you know, this part and to where it could, you know, cause some of my glitter to peel off or whatever. So you just want to fill it up as much as you can with very hot water and let it sit so that it can break up and loosen any of like the grand finale that you may have gotten, like, you know, inside the rim. And just let it soak, and then you can dump out your water. I have syringes and stuff, so I'll probably pull some out first, because what you want to be careful with is when you're pouring water into your tumbler and filling it to the very top, you want to make sure you're not getting the outer part like wet or to where water drips down and gets caught underneath here, you know, because your coats are still like very fresh. So you don't want to damage your top coat. You want to carefully pour the water in and avoid, you know, make sure everything stays nice and dry on this outside. So we will come back and let this loosen, and then I'll just be able to like gently scrape it with my X-Acto knife, and it should like lift right off. Okay, so I started to already scrape some of this off and forgot to record, but you just get your like X-Acto knife, and I don't have very much that ended up too much, too much in the like more on the inner side. I'm gonna need to kind of clean up more up here at the top where the water couldn't really like soak on, because again, I didn't want it to soak on my actual like purple glitter. So you'll just clean it up, and then, you know, like you can wash your cup out. But when you do wash, you need to dry immediately. So I don't think I mentioned this before, but when you do something like a tumbler that, you know, has a lot of coats, or even like the acrylics that I do, you know, they have several coats. The only way that Grand Finale, I guess, would be somewhat similar to epoxy is the fact that it takes a full, like, at least 30 days to cure. It depends really on kind of like if you did a lot of coats on your item. But just to be safe, you know, like just know that it takes a full 30 days for it to dry from the top down. So this dries from obviously the top because, you know, it's dry to touch. Like after you do a coat, a lot of times it's dry to touch after an hour, but you're not ready to do another coat until 2 hours. But anyway, so from top to bottom, it, you know, it needs to fully like, I guess, release like any moisture or water in the product, and it's going to leave behind the solids that are put into Grand Finale. And that's what keeps your coat, your top coat, like hard and shiny and all that. So so when you are using your items within that first 30 days, you know, you really want to make sure that when you hand wash, that you are drying it off immediately. Don't let water drops stay, you know, like on the outside of your tumblers. I think even after the 30 days, you still kind of want to be careful with that. But I don't think you have to be as careful. Like I think some drops, you know, like when it's air drying or something, like it's maybe going to be fine. I haven't actually tested that out, so I really should with my other tumbler that that's already fully cured. But you absolutely at all, even after the 30 days, cannot soak your cups. So never soak them. I think that's pretty much it. You know, like they're not dishwasher safe, but neither are like epoxy ones. I think some people do wash them in the dishwasher, but you're really not supposed to. I think that's kind of it, like as far as like the do's and don'ts. So yeah, so with my other tumbler that I currently use for like my coffee that I glittered and everything, and use Grand Finale on, I just, as soon as I wash it, I just go ahead and towel dry it. And then like if you normally set your dishes on like those kind of drying mats that are like, you know, sort of like fabric or whatever, I would kind of avoid that too. Like if the drying mat is, you know, pretty wet or something, all it's gonna really do is it'll make your top coat like white and cloudy. But if you let it just dry, like keep it to the side and dry, it'll eventually clear up, you know, but still you don't want to damage your tumbler. Now it's been nice and washed, handle is put back on. I cleaned it out really well on the inside. I did, you know, double check and go along the top rim and made sure I scraped off any excess Grand Finale, and cleaned up that glitter edge. And so now we are going to put on this UV DTF wrap. This is technically a wrap that I believe is for 16-ounce cups, but it's going to be perfect for, you know, the front and sides of this 40-ounce tumbler, because where the handle's at on that back part doesn't really matter if there's anything showing. So this is a little bit tricky. I had a little bit of issues trying to make sure I was lining this up while having the camera in front of me on the neck mount that I wear. So so just be patient with me here, but You want to get some painter's tape to secure one end of your wrap before you start, you know, peeling off that backing on the other end and start, you know, applying the actual decal. So you just want to line it up as good as possible. Like I said, obviously this was for a 16 ounce, so it doesn't quite reach close to my handle, but I'm just trying to make sure that it looks about even on both sides of the handle. And then I'm trying to make sure I'm kind of well centered there on the larger top portion of the tumbler. So now I'm just going to use my weeding pen to kind of help peel off some of the backing. You don't want to actually like peel off too much of your backing. You want to just peel off some, especially for a wrap, just so that you don't accidentally stick down some of the decal and then not be able to pull it back up. So you just cut off some of that backing to get it started, like being, you know, to where it's being applied on your tumbler. And just make sure it's still lined up before you start to stick down part of that decal. So I just cut a little bit off, and then I'm going to press over the images like really well. You can also use like your, I had to find my other scraper, but you can use your scraper too to kind of, you know, make sure it's pressed down really well before you start continuing to peel off that backing. So I just get it started on one end, and then you will remove the painter's tape from the other end, and then start to slowly peel away some of that backing, and then continue pressing down your decal. Now, I don't have one of those like tumbler cradles, which, you know, I'm sure those really come in handy. Although since I put on my handle anyway, it probably wouldn't have really come in too much handy. So, but you just want to carefully do this because you don't, like I said, you don't want to accidentally let some of these images like stick down in a position or a way that you don't want it, because it would just actually probably damage it and be really, really hard to pull up without damaging it. So, yeah, so just kind of go slow with this. These are like pretty permanent. I'm loving them so far. I've used a couple, one on my daughter's tumbler that I made her, and one on a different tumbler that I made myself, and they hold up like extremely well, you know, like with hand washing. The colors stay so vibrant. They have a nice, like, you know, shiny look to them. So I've loved them so far. And like I said, I think I mentioned before, I got mine from Hopefully Created. She has some pretty awesome stuff. I will link her website down below as well. I'll try to link, you know, any products that I used for you to be able to reference. So yeah, so just work it slowly, get it all on there, and then you're kind of good to go. Now, technically, you should probably wait at least, it's best to at least wait maybe 5 to 7 days before you really start handling and using this tumbler. I'm going to let you know now, I started using it, I think the day of or the next day, you know, but I was being very careful with it. But definitely be very careful, especially if you're going to take it out places. Like, I probably wouldn't really recommend that. Now, peeling the top part off, it does also kind of stick down pretty good. So I had to get my weeding pen, but I had to be very, very careful to not like poke and scrape and peel up any, like damage any of my top coats. So just be extremely careful with that. I think now what I would recommend is maybe folding over a corner piece, like when you're going to start placing your wrap. That way you don't have this issue where you have to try to slowly pick it off, especially if it's going over something like a grand finale. And then this you also want to take your time with. Don't just, go ripping it off and going really quickly with it, because you may run into the problem of like possibly not have burnishing part of your images very well. So this will just be able to let you tell right away if something didn't quite stick down and you need to continue burnishing it before you peel off this top layer. So go slow with this. Don't do it very fast. Make sure everything is stuck down so that you don't pull up parts of those pretty images on your wrap and accidentally tear them. Okay, and here's a close-up and like a side angle with some light glaring off of it so you can see the vibrancy and the shininess of it. Absolutely stunning. I freaking love this. Friends is like my all-time favorite show. I'm going to be doing a matching tumbler tag, and I will be doing some tumbler toppers. As you can see, here's a vinyl that I have, and if you're an all-time fan, then you will know what each and every one of these images represents, like from the episodes. So yeah, so I will show some pictures here in a sec of kind of what I plan to do. So here it is with the vinyl, and I need to seal it, but I'll be doing like the door frame, the pivot couch, the turkey with the hat, a lobster, and just some random shapes with like different sayings. All right, thanks for watching.